Try to blow it off.
Yes. Okay, the audio is the correct one. Yeah.
Why am I not surprised that she's on there?
Hey, Michelle. I'll try to remind you.
Hello.
Hello. We're getting ready to start in the next couple minutes.
No problem.
That was just an idea.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Online Open House with Bexley Seabury. I'm Micah Jackson, the president of Bexley Seabury, and I'm here with Stephen Wolf, who is our director of development, and Jaime Briseño, our recruiter and digital missioner. And I want to welcome you all to this. I just want to come on every so often and let you all know what's going on at Bexley Seabury. I've got a few things I want to talk about, but I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to, thank you, Jaime, to answer some questions and have a little discussion as well. One thing I want to talk about is the situation that we're facing this year as a school. As you know, we are a school that offers all kinds of programs and theological education to everyone, from lifelong learning opportunities, the Doctor of Ministry program, the Master of Divinity, and our Diploma in Anglican Studies programs, all kinds of things, our annual convocation, and just all of the teaching that our faculty and staff do outside in parishes. Things are going very well here. As a faculty and as a school, we are reaching people all over the country with the opportunity to study with us and with each other under the umbrella of Bexley Seabury. We're getting ready to go into our recruiting season. And so as you encounter people out there in the world who might be interested in studying at Bexley Seabury, please send them our way. Let them know that they should and can get in touch with Jaime and learn more about our programs and the different ways that we can all engage together in this aspect of theological education. Jaime, do you have anything you want to say about our process for bringing in new students each year, how things are going?
This year, we actually been receiving a lot more inquiries than the previous year, and we feel very hopeful of that. As is normal, our students continue to be mostly, or our inquiry students continue to be mostly students who are looking at bivocational ministry, people who are looking at doing their Master's of Divinity, their Diploma in Anglican Studies, while either engaged in a full-time job or a full-time ministry. So we'll continue to try to allow our program to be as flexible as possible to accommodate that, and we continue to try to support our students as well with the scholarships while they're engaged in this program as well. One of the questions that recently came to me that I thought it was important to also share with everyone is that our tuition-based scholarship is open to anyone, no matter if you're enrolled in a full-time program or you're in any program enrolled as a part-time student. We still want to support you and give you as much scholarship as possible. So that's never a limitation, or we never consider part-time student different to a full-time student with regards to tuition and scholarships. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jaime. Another thing that's changing here at Bexley Seabury is we have new faculty that we've brought on. I'm new, of course. I've been on the job since June 1st, but also we have a couple of really exciting additions to our faculty. One is Emlyn Ott, who is our director of the Doctor of Ministry program. And so she is overseeing both the Doctor of Ministry in Congregational Development and also the Doctor of Ministry in Preaching that we do in cooperation with several other seminaries here in the Chicago area. And that's something I want to particularly highlight a little bit later on in this broadcast. So Emlyn is your contact for the Doctor of Ministry. She's doing a wonderful job of bringing that program in continued focus, and she will be a resource for us going forward. The other new faculty member we have is Julie Lytle. Dr. Lytle is our Director of Distributed Learning and Lifelong Learning. And so she is really going to be helping us make sure that our faculty that are teaching online, and our whole online presence is has the latest pedagogy and research on how people teach and learn online and in other distributed contexts like we do here at Bexley Seabury with our hybrid programs and also our intensive programs, and even the programs we have where people are gathered physically, but they're gathered physically in a very distant place, such as our course Learning from London, where the students work together to prepare for a trip to the Diocese of London to work with the people on the ground there who are doing such exciting and innovative ministry, to learn from them and to share with them what's working here in the United States as well. So those are our two new faculty members. Eileen Shanley Roberts, who is our associate, the assistant director of contextual education working with KJO, has now become full-time with us. So that's a really exciting development as well, and a consequence of our increased enrollment. So this is all good news on the faculty side as well as on programs. I'd like to also talk a little bit about the way lifelong learning is coming together at Bexley Seabury. I mentioned Julie Lytle, and she is working with us on the kinds of lifelong learning projects that we will be rolling out in the future. What we're doing right now is spending a lot of time listening. It's very important when you're starting something to begin by listening. And so we are traveling around the country and talking with people and saying, sort of the guiding question that we've been asking lately is, what are you hungry for? How can we serve you? And so we're asking people to tell us what they need and what would most benefit them, what kind of theological education would be most useful and most nourishing for them. So those are our guiding principles for this listening process. What are you hungry for? How can we serve you? And to also say everything is on the table. So yeah, so I also want to talk a little bit about the Doctor of Ministry in Preaching. This is a program we've been a part of here in Chicago for quite some time. This program focuses on preaching. The students in it are Doctor of Ministry students. So they're people who have a Master of Divinity and have been out in ministry for at least 3 years. So as preachers, you've got some experience. You've been around the lectionary one time at least, and you know what you don't know. These programs are really wonderful. They are super engaging. They're practitioner-led. Really great preachers and teachers from around the country come here to Chicago. And your fellow students will also be from around the country and all around the Christian church. So we do this program in joint work with the Lutheran School, with McCormick Seminary, which is Presbyterian, with the Methodist Seminary, Garrett Evangelical, and several other seminaries around the Chicago area. So it really is a wonderfully unique program for people who are in the Episcopal Church and preaching, because we don't usually get as sustained and as deep an opportunity to work together with people from other traditions who preach in different ways, who read the same Bible but slightly differently. And the students in this program really grow in their preaching and in their engagement with their own spirituality of preaching and their own engagement with congregational leadership. So if you're interested in preaching, and if you're interested in doing some a much deeper dive into the activity of preaching, I encourage you to contact Jaime and look into, there he is, and look into the possibility of doing this Doctor of Ministry program in preaching. It truly is a ministry changing experience for the people who take care of it and who work in it. I I've got an announcement I want to make in a few minutes, but first I'm wondering if anyone out there has a question or a comment, some way we can talk a little bit about what's happening at Bexley Seabury and connect with you and your concerns. I mean, are we getting any questions from Facebook anywhere?
Nope.
No? All right.
Great.
Then I want to make my announcement. One of the most wonderful and most beloved traditions of Bexley Hall was the tradition of having common meal. Once a week, the people of Bexley Hall and the community of Trinity Lutheran Seminary in Columbus would gather together for a common meal, usually prepared at Bexley Hall itself, and then have some time praying Compline together. This is a tradition that our friends at Trinity Lutheran have continued in some way, but it is still a way that our Bexley alums really feel connected to the school and to each other. And we are going to, Bexley Seabury will come back to Columbus on February 7th to share common meal with our alumni and friends. And we would love to have you be a part of it. So if there's any way you can get to Columbus on February 7th, 2019, to share in common meal and some prayer with us, we would love to see you, to connect you with what's going on at Bexley Seabury today, to connect you with each other, your fellow alumni and friends, and just to have some conversations, some fellowship, and some prayer together again in this wonderful and ongoing tradition of Bexley Hall. Steve, do you have anything you'd like to say about common meal and our plans for that?
No, it's going to be at St. Albans, I think, as Micah mentioned, and we're excited about being able to have this way of bringing our alumni, and some of our faculty, of course, will be there. Micah, of course, will be there, and it's just it should be a very pleasant way of being able to reconnect with each other and to talk about things that are of interest and of concern to us, and to, at the end of the time, pray over our time together. So I think that's really all I want to say, and encourage you all to think about coming. And we will be doing this on a regular basis, probably on an annual basis. So if you are unable to make this one, don't despair. We'll do it again.
Absolutely true. Jaime, anything else? Any last thing?
No, you mentioned a lot about the doctor ministry and preaching, and if you're interested in that, the commitment to that is only over the summers for 3 consecutive years. So, and I believe it's a 3 to 4 week program. So it's time commitment is not that strenuous. So
yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks in June, and then a little bit of work, pre-work and post-work, but and of course your thesis project, which will let you really dive into a preaching opportunity, a preaching experiment in your own context, whatever that may be.
Great, thank you.
All right, well, thank you all for listening, for connecting with us. We're going to do this again. Do we have a next time?
Not yet.
No, okay.
Keep an eye on it.
Watch your Facebook and your Twitter and your Instagram and your MyFace or whatever, and we'll
and
we'll let
if you
you
have
know.
any questions, anything you want to tell us, please use the comment section and the Facebook post to this. Oh, here's a question.
Okay. So good. Before we wrap up, we've got a question here. Has there been any thought of CPE collaboration with Seminary of the Southwest? Yes, we think about that all the time. I don't know if any formal relationship really needs to be made with Seminary of the Southwest. I know Sarah Noel Sweeney, who is the supervisor down there, is accepting students at a distance, and would be happy to hear from students at Bexley Seabury who would like to do CPE in that way, in that distributed format. If you need any help connecting with her, or if it turns out that that there needs to be some sort of more coordination, then I would be happy to do it, because I think that program of distributed CPE, and Sarah Noel Sweeney personally, who I know, is wonderful. And so if you're looking for a way to do CPE, CPE is a part of your formation plan, and doing it in a distance that way through Seminary Southwest is a fabulous opportunity. Does that help? I hope. As always, if you've got any other questions, oh, here we go.
Follow up.
Oh, here we go. Are we looking at having more courses in-house? In-house in the sense of here in Chicago? Yes, absolutely. And definitely as enrollment increases, that's going to be one of the things that happens. I think what's going to happen is as enrollment increases, we will increase every offering, every kind of offering that we have. So the hybrid courses that are weekend intensives, that are week-long intensives, or even that are just online courses will continue to increase, just because our offerings will increase. One of the things we'll be looking at, and that our faculty is talking about always, is what's the best way to structure these courses. So for any particular subject or course, what is the best way to offer that to the students? Does it make most sense to draw them together in Chicago for a week-long intensive? Does it make best sense to have it be a weekend intensive? Is this something that can be taught effectively online? Or, and this is not in your question, but, and is just a teaser for those of you who are listening, possibly in some other locations, right? No plans to announce yet on that, but it is something that that we have got some interest in.
One of the things that the faculty is working on, and we're working on as we look at our programs and the increased enrollment, is to also increase the amount of courses that we offer,
right?
Particularly some of the theology courses and the systematic theology courses, as you have seen in the next semester. We're going to offer some of those in-house, and we're also increasing the amount of courses that we offer online as well. We have already one course for next semester that will be offered completely online as well. So we are working on that for sure.
So one of another question we have is, what question would I have for a current seminarian? One of our seminarians is with us here online, and so I do have a question for a current seminarian, and this is what I would like to ask. What has been most surprising to you as you engage with this program in a distributed format? What was most different from what you thought you would experience, especially if it's a good thing? But I'll take any comment, but especially if it's a good thing.
So two things immediately come to mind. First of all, the collaboration with the Lutheran school and taking Greek there. The idea of taking an ancient language online, having been, I had a minor in modern languages at university anyway, so not being face-to-face, how would that work? But that was brilliant. And the smooth transition working with another seminary besides simply CTS, that was lovely. The primary thing that has really surprised me is the community that we have. I'm a middler, and so I've been connecting with people for a little while, for a few semesters, but it's not only our community at Bexley, but CTS students who show up again and again in our series of courses. There is a concern for one another, a support for one another, as we're all in different places in our process, that has been encouraging and deeply spiritual in ways that go far beyond the very brief Anglican formation retreats that we have each semester. So yeah, I would say, that community, and also the support of the faculty as we are all in process. When people come up with a hiccup in their process, the faculty is fully present to them, and that has been very encouraging.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Those are great surprises. So, and ones that I think are, I hope, are not unique to you. I hope people have found other things. Just a couple things come to mind to respond to those. One is that the collaboration between Bexley Seabury and the other seminaries in Chicago actually is pretty good. We do have this Doctor of Ministry program that we do together, but also there are 11 seminaries in the Chicago area, and we have an open cross-registration agreement with all of them. So the students that we have in Bexley Seabury are welcome and encouraged to take classes as makes best sense for their programs in any of those schools. So you had an opportunity to take Greek at the Lutheran school, or you could take other classes all around with their specialties and their fabulous faculty. So if you have some of those classes are offered online, some of them may be offered in other ways. And if you happen to be able to be near Chicago, then you might take one of their regular Tuesday, Thursday classes if you wanted to. So you'd be open to, you'd be welcome to do that. Yeah. And I would also just highlight what you were saying about the community. This is one of the questions I get most often about Bexley Seabury. People say, but what about the community? How are people going to have any community if the classes are offered at a distributed, in a distributed way? And I would say, gosh, as I talk to students, I never hear that problem. In fact, I hear the opposite. So your comment is also what I hear from many of your classmates, that it really does have that very much a tight community, not just an opportunity for it, but that it really arises among the classes. So thank you for answering that question.
There's one other thing that I would bring up that is perhaps somewhat less than positive, but also surprising. I was surprised that for some people, this is not ideal. Now, I'm an autodidact. When in my other stuff that I've done, I have had to learn by myself. And so that's not a threshold. But how are you, Jaime, in particular, helping folks to discern, is this, I mean, obviously, if you have to work full time, going away for 3 years is not a possibility. But how are you helping folk to discern, is this the optimal means of learning? Because if you have to be in a room with other people in order to get it, there's not a lot of being in a room beyond about a week.
Right. One of the things I try to explain to students now, particularly as the students come to me and say, can I do this while working full time? It's like, usually my first reaction to them is, not if you're trying to do this full time, right? Not if you're trying to work full time doing your coursework as well, because it's just not, it's so time consuming. The one thing that has shifted in particularly the newer wave of students is a lot of them come with an experience of what online coursework is. So usually that conversation doesn't have to happen from my end. Like I assume that they know what an online course means and what their responsibilities are. And I always tell them, an online coursework usually takes more time from your end and more commitment than if you're coming every week to our classroom. And that's an important distinction, that some students haven't that experience either on their undergrad or their graduate school. They had already been promoting those online forms of learning, so that helps. But definitely telling them you cannot do this full-time as a student while working full-time really helps them, trying to figure that out on their own. Like, this requires some time commitment, and it's still graduate school, so it's not that simple.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice. Obviously, some people can do it, Michelle, but very much it's a challenge, right? I mean, seminary this is not advanced Sunday school, right? This is graduate education, and it really is going to take a fair amount of your work. To your wider point, though, I think it's really true that there are people for whom this kind of education is not ideal. It's just not the kind of education that where they learn best. And I think what we're trying to do is open up a space in Episcopal theological education for people who can't, for whatever reason, or for whatever reason, residential seminary education is not the best for them, to have a place where they can continue to study, to respond to God's call in their lives, and to get the theological education that they need to deepen and continue their ministry. But as you say, it's not a modality that automatically works for everyone. And so I hope that what we're doing is doing a good job of communicating with people and letting them know what they're in for if they come here to study at Bexley Seabury, and what it's not going to be like. It's not going to be the situation where you can afford to not do the reading because you're going to come to class and the professor is going to lecture. That is not the way our faculty works, and that is not the way that our courses are set up. So you're going to have to be a self-starter. You're going to have to be committed to this work. You're going to have to be able to motivate yourself to continue to study and write and work on your own. But of course, with the community, as we were saying, the community that builds around you will be encouraging and supportive, but in a different way than it would be if you were on a traditional campus.
Thank you. I think the way that Jaime helped onboard me with starting with one class before I fully started, I think that can be really helpful for students who are investigating distance learning seminary, because I had the opportunity to, with only one course, figure out if I could manage full-time work. And so I wonder if that might be something that you promote, Jaime, in recruiting.
As I did it with you, I always encourage students to take a course, come sit down in a course, look at the possibility of starting before they are, as soon as they can, apply and take one course. I always encourage them to do that. And even if it's not formally taking a course, just the opportunity of coming over the weekend, anybody is welcome to do that. Just come and sit an entire weekend and see what that is like. That can always be arranged. And hopefully that can also give you an idea what it is like to sit down in a classroom.
Right.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, well, thank you for being here. Thanks to Michelle for asking questions and continuing our discussion, keeping it on track for us. And to those of you who will watch this later on, you didn't have an opportunity to ask us questions live, but that doesn't mean you can't ask a question. So please do put your continued questions in the comments on this post here on Facebook Live, or just send them to me, mjackson@bexleyseabury.edu. My email box is open to you, and I would love to hear from your questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll find the person around here who does. So thanks as always to Steve and to Jaime who are with me today. And thanks again for being here and for engaging with Bexley Seabury. God's blessings be on you and your continued ministry.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.